Hey, Louisiana high school students. We are back today for part two of starting the conversation. We're going to be continuing a conversation today. My name is Angela Lorio. In case you didn't get to join us yesterday, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. But first, yesterday we went over some pretty amazing topics, and you heard from some amazing peer support specialists. We are putting this on. We are Louisiana Peer Action Advocacy Coalition. We are an organization that is a professional organization for peer support specialists. And by the end of this, if you didn't join us yesterday, you're going to know what a peer support specialist is. We're people with lived experience who have been trained and can now use our greatest struggle to help you and to help other people who might be going through what we've been through. So yesterday, just to review, we went over some powerful topics like trauma, recognizing and addressing trauma. You heard from Tanja Miles, who has been through some stuff, and she kept it real. You know, she talked about what she went through and shared with you some things that helped her. Katie shared about self-care. A couple of them went over mindfulness. You remember from yesterday, the mindfulness, what can you smell? What can you see? What can you hear? What you can touch and bring you in a present moment. We went over mental health crisis situations with Biff, his amazing story. If you didn't get to watch part one, go ahead and watch it. You don't have to do them in order, but watch part one if you didn't catch it yesterday. Also, Pascal, mother of 7, who's been through so much, she talked about resiliency and change. So we had some amazing topics. So as I said, my name is Angela Lorio, and I am originally from New Orleans. I moved to Baton Rouge about a year after Katrina, and I met my husband, so I decided to stay. And I have a special needs son who's 8 years old, who is amazing. He was born 1 pound, 12 ounces, if you can believe it, and is now 8 running around. Became a peer support specialist in 2014, an amazing career path I never knew about. So that really allowed me, like I said, to use what I have been struggling with and use it as a gift, be stepping stones to somebody else getting to better quality of life, getting to the other side, having hope. And also right now I volunteer in East Baton Rouge Parish. They require all law enforcement and first responders to go through crisis intervention team training. So CIT teams, they're called. They respond when there's a mental health crisis, if somebody's going through something, to be trained. So I do that. I present myself, present my story. It's Capillary Human Service District who does the training. I also present at the academy. So it's, those who are on their career path to become, police, state police, sheriff, so they can see a face. And that's what this is all about, is we're putting faces with situations and not labeling people as, oh, they are bipolar, or, they're kind of wigging out, they're going through something. You might have a classmate who is just kind of out there. So we're breaking down that stigma. We're starting this conversation. So I just want you to buckle your seatbelts again today. If you're with us yesterday, it got real. We talked about the uncomfortable topics that people don't want to talk about. This is unprecedented. This is a statewide event going out to you from all peer support specialists. And we are just so happy to be able to share our profession and to be able to bring you these conversations. And also to let you know, we are watching our Instagram Messenger account. So we're going to be taking your questions and any questions, comments, anything you have. Go to Louisiana PAAC. So that's Louisiana, all spelled out, PAAC. And we have people watching our Instagram Messenger account, and we will read your questions, comments live and answer them to the best of our ability. So we're going to start the conversation this morning with somebody that needs no introduction. I also want to give you our email right quick, and you're going to get it later on the presentation. But if you have a question that you don't want, read on air for one of our presenters. So if you have something particularly for one of our presenters, you can go ahead and email us at Louisiana PAAC, that's Louisiana, PAAC @gmail.com. So if one of our presenters said something, or if you have a question, about a resource, anything like that, I want you to please email us. Speaking of resources, I'm going to mention them all throughout, part 2 today. And we're going to have, at the end, our website. But to tell you our website now, it's lapac.org, LAPAAC.org. We have a ton of resources on there. So if you are going through something you heard about yesterday or something we talk about today, there's ways you can reach out. We get it. We understand you're not always comfortable with reaching out to your parents. I remember when I was a teenager, my parents didn't get it. I was a people pleaser. I wanted to put my best foot forward. I wanted to make the grades. I wanted to make them proud. So I hid what I was going through, and I didn't want to disappoint them. So there are resources now, and there are ways you can reach out. And if you're going through something and you reach out now, you're not going to have the problems down the road I did that, went over into college and some of my young adult life. So that's why we're doing this. We're doing this to give you ways that you can help yourself. You can recognize things that are going on with you, and maybe help one of your classmates, help one of your friends to be able to know and recognize what might be going on, to have that compassion and to reach out to them. And, you never know, with some of this stuff, you can save a life. And by your example and reaching out, it's going to give them hope if they're going through something. And so we're gonna begin the conversation today with Laurie Holtzclaw Hunt. She's a pretty amazing person. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her before she gets started. And this topic is overdose and alcohol first aid. So this is where the rubber meets the road. If you are attuned to things, if you watch the news, about those stories where a party went south, something happened, and unfortunately, a tragedy occurred, whether it's, related to alcohol or drugs. So she's going to talk about that. Laurie started her journey in recovery on December 20th, 2006. She moved into an Oxford house in July 2007. In 2010, she was hired for a position in Tulsa, Oklahoma as an outreach worker with Oxford House, which is a peer-run sober living house and organization. A few years later, she was asked to take the position of regional manager. She became a peer support specialist in 2015. And today she oversees all Louisiana homes, she oversees Oxford houses in Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, and Mississippi. So this is huge. She is a big deal with Oxford House, and Oxford House saves lives. She calls Louisiana home now. She shares her life with her husband, spends much of her time with her children and her extended family. So let's hear from this amazing peer support specialist. Laurie?
Hi, my name is Laurie Holtzclaw Hunt, and I'm a woman in long-term recovery. And what that means for me is that I haven't found it necessary to use a drink or a drug since December 20th of 2006. So almost 15 years now. I work for an organization named Oxford House Incorporated. And what it is a network of recovery homes throughout the state of Louisiana that provides housing for people in recovery. I've been affiliated and working with Oxford House for almost the entire time that I've been in recovery. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. So what I want to talk to you today about is drug and alcohol overdose awareness and a little bit of first aid. So I started drinking and using drugs at a very young age, probably around the age of 13. And when I was in high school, whenever I was doing all that, my thought process is, you don't think that you're going to become an alcoholic or an addict. And it's very challenging to go through because you think that it's just fun, you're having fun with your friends, and one day that you're going to go off to college, and then life will just be normal. You'll get married someday, you'll have children, and things will be different. Well, that day never really came for me in the way that it should have, or that it could have had I gotten help for my alcoholism and addiction. So I graduated high school in 1994, which tells you how old I am. I'll be 45 next month. By the time I graduated high school, maybe a year after, I was a full-blown alcoholic. But I thought that it would change. I still thought that it was fun, and I was having a lot of good times with my friends. So, you know, we were out partying and things, and I got introduced to a lot of, I guess, what you would call hardcore drugs. So things like cocaine and opiates and all different types of drugs like that. And I started doing those, and I still thought that, you know, nothing was wrong with it, that I would just stop one day. And I went through college. I quit at my last semester, and that's when things started to turn really bad. So shortly after that, I had a boyfriend that I had been seeing for a little bit, and he had a drug overdose and passed away. And you would think that that would be a really good reason to stop, but I didn't. I think that for people like me, and maybe if you feel the same way about certain things, that we use alcohol and drugs to medicate, to cope with feelings, things that we don't like about ourselves. Maybe we don't feel good enough, or maybe we don't feel like we fit in enough. And I know for me that alcohol and drugs really helped me feel that way, to feel those, you know, to feel like I fit in. So on down the road, it got really bad. And what alcohol and drugs led me to was homelessness, the loss of my entire family, including my 2 children. And then the last big thing that happened, and when I got sober when I was 30, I became incarcerated. And since then, you know, that's when I got sober. I was 30 years old, and I went to jail for some pretty serious charges. And I realized then, after terrible, terrible consequences, that this is not the life I wanted to live. And so I finally reached out for help. After I got out of jail, I spent 8 months in jail. The year before I went to jail, I was homeless for a year. And none of these things are things that I wanted for myself. And I've never thought that I was going to end up like that. But it's just the way that it happened. And so when I finally stopped fighting and accepted the fact that I had a problem with alcohol and drugs, I was able to get the help that I needed. And when I got out of jail, now I've been to treatment. So I didn't just go to jail and realize that I had this drug and alcohol problem. This is something that built up over a period of years. So, you know, probably from the time I was 20 years old to the time I was 30 years old, I was in and out of incarceration. I was in and out of treatment centers and detoxes. And it led to this point in my life where I felt like I had dug my hole so deep that I didn't have any other choice but to get help. But I think that that's where a lot of young people go wrong, is that they keep digging that hole, and that's something that you don't have to do. You can get help before then. So I want to talk a little bit about what happened. So I got out of jail, and these ladies that wanted to help me from a church that I went to that did a jail ministry in Franklinton, Louisiana. They got me the number to an Oxford house, and I moved into that Oxford house, and I stayed heavily involved in service work with Oxford House, and I joined Alcoholics Anonymous. And through those two programs, I've been able to, accumulate almost 15 years of recovery. Since then, my life is very different. Now, mind you, I am a convicted felon. That is always going to be on my record. I have 3 felonies and 2 felony convictions. I wanted to talk a little bit about, the spiritual aspect of things. And one of the things that I decided to do was I decided to open my mind up to God. And I feel like he has led me in some really, really, really good direction since I've accepted that I had this problem and I've sought out help for it. Whenever I got into Oxford House, I started working, I was a waitress, and I decided I wanted to try to go back to college and finish, getting my degree. I went to a little technical college in Bogalusa, Louisiana Technical College. And I had 1 semester left. And so I went and I was going to reapply, and I got my transcripts from high school and things like that. And when I went to get my transcripts from the college, they gave me a copy of my degree. And it was at that moment that, I really knew that God was carrying me. So I went to college in 1997 and 98, and I didn't find out that I had graduated college until 2008. So I had an associate's degree for about 8 years that I didn't even know about. And for me, that is a huge God moment in my life. I wanted to also, I had what I'm talking about today is alcohol and drug overdose. And I had a boyfriend during my addiction that overdosed from drugs, and he passed away. And last year, over 90,000 people died from drug overdose, and over 95,000 people died from alcohol-related illnesses or alcohol overdose. Not all of that was overdose, but alcohol really, really takes a toll on your body. And so the long-term effects of it, and drugs, alcohol and drugs, you get, heart disease, you get liver disease, things really, 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 it takes a toll. These things really take a toll on your body. A little bit more about my life today. I have a really, really, really good life today. I got married last year. I married a police officer, which is a very interesting, different type of couple. I promote recovery throughout the state of Louisiana, and he, helps in service policing. We have a wonderful relationship. I have 2 children. My son, who is 26 years old now, we have a wonderful relationship. And because of the consequences of my addiction, I ended up having to give my daughter up for adoption. She turned 15 years old this year. But life is good today. But it doesn't always turn out for everybody that way. People die every day, and I see a lot of drug overdoses from people that come into, recovery, and they go back out and they think they can do the same thing that they did before, or the same amount, and they do it and they die. There are so many young people that are passing away from fatal overdoses nowadays. And my son, who is 26, we talk about that, every time I see him or talk to him, he talks about another person that he knew that died from a fatal overdose. And I want to say, so a couple of years ago, I got this challenge coin from the executive office of the President of the United States, and I'm going to kind of hold it up where you can see it a little bit. That's really pretty. But on the back of it, it says one voice. For those we have lost, for those in recovery, and for those who suffer. And if you feel like you're one of those people that might be suffering from alcoholism or addiction, it's okay to seek out help. And it's a good thing. Alcoholism and addiction is very stigmatized, and people lose their life behind that stigma. If you think that you have an issue like this, reach out to a friend, reach out to a family member, your parents, and try to get the help that you need, because it can be stopped earlier. You don't have to go through all the things that I went through in order to have a good life. And it can also save your life. I feel like with the way that drugs are today, you're almost playing Russian roulette with your life. The drug overdose has increased over 48% over the last few years. And they're putting what they call fentanyl in drugs that you wouldn't think it would be in. And a very, very small amount of it can kill you. And so I'm going to read you a few things that you can do if you ever find yourself around somebody that might be having a drug overdose or an alcohol overdose. So just kind of bear with me. So for alcohol overdose, and the main thing you want to do is dial 911 for either of these. But these are some things that some other things that you can do. So, for alcohol overdose, dial 911, remain and provide reassurance, move them to a safe place, preferably quiet. If the person is conscious, ask questions to provide information to any medical professional, what they drink, how much they drank, how long they've been drinking, for hours or for days, any other medical conditions or concerns they may have. You want to monitor and record them, and you want to keep any substances or containers so that the medical professionals have a clear indication of what has been consumed. And for a drug overdose, you want to immediately call 911. In case of opioid overdose, administer naloxone if available, begin CPR if necessary, and collect any drugs or pills and give them to the EMTs when they arrive. So if there's anybody out, if you can relate to any of this, as a young person, it was really hard to talk to people about my problems. And even as a young adult, it was really hard to accept that I had a problem. I didn't just wake up, I didn't wake up one day and say, oh, I think I'm an alcoholic. It was very slow, and it was a very torturous type way to live. So if you have any feelings that you may be or have a problem with drugs or alcohol, my advice to you is to try to get help as soon as possible. The faster you start the recovery process, the quicker you'll be able to be sober and have a good life. So that's all I have for you guys today. My name is Laurie, and I am recovered. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Laurie, so much for sharing that. These people that are talking today are brave. They are really, really brave to be able to share in a raw way their story, like Laurie just did. And I think I said it yesterday, and it bears repeating. There's no greater love than to lay down your life for somebody else. And this is what is happening. In starting these conversations, we have people laying down their lives, being transparent, being real. So if you are going through some of this, that you can have courage. You can have courage to reach out. So just to point out a few things, in case you didn't catch that, you heard what Laurie's story was. She is the regional manager, director, if you will, over many states for a national organization. So she is doing incredible, and just working in amazing ways, having, gone through what she did. She's taken that and she is a powerhouse and really turned that around. Another thing she said is you don't have to keep digging that hole. So if you have started drinking, if you have tried drugs, if you're doing drugs, you don't have to keep digging that hole. You are never past the point of no return. You've heard people say that, well, what's the difference now? I might as well just hang it up. I've gone too far. No, you're never past that point of no return. You can reach out, you can get help. I want to repeat this. I can't say it enough. We have resources on our website, lepac.org. There's one simple one. You're in school, you know what an atlas is, right? Okay. There's a program called Atlas, and the website is treatmentatlas.org. And that's on our website, treatmentatlas.org. Whatever you're going through, you can actually go to that website and click on a button and take an online assessment to get help. And they can hook you up anywhere in Louisiana that you are. Doesn't matter if you're, in Shreveport, Lake Charles, New Orleans. They're connected to Louisiana places where you can get help. So there's immediate help at your fingertips. We have the text line for crisis. There's a ton of stuff out there. And to point out this as well, what she said, call 911 right away. There was a couple years ago, there was a tragedy at one of the colleges here in Baton Rouge. And don't ever be afraid. Oh man, we're at this party. We weren't supposed to be doing this anyway. What are they going to say? Whatever the situation might be, don't be afraid about getting in trouble. Okay. Somebody's life could be on the line. So don't hesitate to call 911 if there's anything that goes down with alcohol or drugs. Because like she said, the fentanyl and different things in drugs, that just a little bit can kill you. And with alcohol, we think, oh, drinking, no big deal. But you don't know that person's, health condition, what they might have going on. And, you might see them think they're the life of the party, but, if something happens, if they look sick or something goes down, call 911. It's all right. You don't have to feel silly like, oh, they called 911. They were really okay. Don't worry about that. You could save somebody's life. So just a few points. Thank you, Laurie, so much for sharing your story. That was amazing. We're going to put up a poll real quick on alcohol and drug first aid. So the poll is going to come up on your screen. Just take a few seconds. It's, would you know what to do if someone with you is experiencing an overdose? Yes, I know exactly what to do. Kind of. I would at least call 911. No, I don't know what to do. I don't want to get involved. And you can answer that before this presentation. Now you know some things after. But this is something to think about. And now you're also getting knowledge. And for those of you, we know high school, this is in the middle of the school day. Maybe you have, you're watching this, there's another teacher or guidance counselor or your principal. You really want this message to get out, that you can view this. You just go to our website. This is all going to be uploaded on Friday. So it is forever going to be on YouTube. You go to lepac.org, LAPAAC.org, and there'll be the links to these presentations, because somebody watching it, a life could be saved. So we're going to go ahead. Let's see if we have the results. The results of the poll can come up. Here we go. Wow, this is cool. I would at least call 911. So everybody on here, it's great. You got some more knowledge today. So thanks for answering that. Now we're gonna, also look at, I've told you I'm a peer support specialist and I'm sharing some of my story as well. My personal issue was not with alcohol or drugs. Now, because of my mental health challenge, I did try them, in college, and I, kind of flirted with disaster. And, thankfully that was not my path. But I know I mentioned yesterday, my husband, 38 years sober. And, you know, a friend of mine would joke with me that a recovering alcoholic makes a really good husband. And I have to say that because once you have these tools for recovery, you've been through hard stuff, you can roll with life so much easier because these are tools for life that you learn. For example, you know, I have a lot of friends who are peer support specialists or have just gone through hard stuff, you know, and they have those tools. They know what to do, how to be well, you know, those mindful techniques we talked about yesterday. And when like the pandemic hit, they rolled with it. You know, for people who sail through life, don't have anything bad happen, you know, when something bad happens, they kind of don't know what to do. They, you know, and it'll knock them over much easier than somebody who's been there, done that, and can just take something, use their tools that they know that they have to be well. And so that's, you know, that's the beauty of this profession and the power of this profession is that we lay ourselves bare, we share what we've been through so that, as you know, as I like to say, it'll be somebody else's help. You know, we share our journey and we say, you know, what happened to you? I've been there. Okay. I've walked in your shoes. It's going to be okay. And to give hope, to give that light at the end of the tunnel. So next we have, we're going to play a clip. This is a really cool guy. His name is D1. He's actually the only governor appointed rapper, if you will, on an amazing statewide advisory council for the success of Black men in Louisiana. And he performs all over the country. He has a good vibe, good sound. He's going to tell you about himself. He's going to talk about pain. I want to thank him for sharing his gift. So right now, let's hear from D1.
What's up, y'all? My name is D1. For those who don't know, I like to introduce myself. I'm a hip hop artist from New Orleans. I'm a proud graduate of LSU in Baton Rouge, and I'm actually a former middle school teacher turned hip hop artist. And now I've been able to travel all over the world and reach people through my gift, right, of being a rapper. I want to talk to y'all about pain because pain is something that I know we all experience and we can all relate to. Don't ignore your pain, but also don't allow your pain to defeat you. Your pain is supposed to actually motivate you and propel you towards your purpose. Without pain, we wouldn't know what joy felt like. So anything that you've gone through, it's up to you to decide to use that, to deal with that pain, but to use it. Let it motivate you to be a better version of yourself. Because if it didn't kill you, then it was meant to motivate you. Once again, if you are watching this, that means that your pain has not killed you. Therefore, it was meant to motivate you. So I want y'all to know that I've been through a lot in my life. I mean, even Hurricane Ida just hit. My parents lost their house, y'all. My sister, she got flood water all in her house. My grandfather almost lost his life. You know, he was a few hours away from that, and I had to come down and get him, thankfully, in time. He's 91 years old. In my career as an artist, there have been a lot of people that say, D1, man, you're not gonna make it, man. We don't believe in you. D1, you cool, but you're not it. You know what I'm saying? And I've constantly been the underdog and had to prove people wrong. Even my new single that I have out right now, I used to be an intern for this guy, The Game from Los Angeles. I used to be an intern for him back when I was in college. And I went from an intern to now having him featured on one of my songs. So from an intern to a collaborator. There's a lot of full circle moments that I've seen in my life that have let me know that that pain that you experience on the front end of not being good enough, not fitting in, being told that you messed up too many times, you know, you've made too many mistakes. Whatever that pain is that you felt on the front end, losing loved ones, you know, messing up a big opportunity, that pain is all part of our story, yo. And I'm sitting here smiling because I know how y'all's story is gonna end. As long as you don't let that pain break you, that pain is gonna make you and it's gonna push you closer to your purpose, all right? Like I always say, be real, be righteous, and be relevant, you heard me? 3 is up. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all school year, and just know I'm always here for y'all. My social media is at D1 Music, DEE, the number 1 music. And you can check my music out on all streaming platforms. Please check it out. It's just D1, DEE dash the number 1. All right, peace. I love y'all. April 10th, I wrote this rhyme down. That's my birthday. Crying on the interstate while I'm driving to the
Oh, thank you.
DMX just died, and man, it got me feeling low. People think I'm all good, but they don't even really know. Trying to call my girl up. Well, actually, that's my.
All right, I'm just gonna sit here and jam to D1. He's cool. You know, he's really cool. And he was an educator. Okay, so here's somebody else, you know, who is not letting their pain defeat them. Okay. And you heard yesterday, if you joined us, from Tanja, and I said it myself, your diagnosis does not define you. So if you have something going on, if it does come out that you have some type of mental health challenge, a diagnosis, whether even if it's alcoholism, that does not define you. It doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're less than anybody else. Okay. It simply means something is going on. You know, I have my grandparents, in fact, I mean, we're talking way back from New Orleans. I can remember my grandpa, you know, going to AA meetings and just, you know, working that program. And, you know, my mom, you know, may not have been born if they hadn't gone into recovery. I may not be here. So there's power in that. There's so much hope when you reach out. And I know some of you may be in a really dark place right now, and to know that it's gonna be okay. You're seeing story after story. We had part 1 yesterday, part 2 today. Reach out, look at the resources, go, like I said, the Atlas, you know, website, you can go right away. The text lines, there's a lot out there throughout the state of Louisiana. There's human service districts. So no matter where you are in the state, you can go on our website and see what's near you to get help. So coming up next, we have another incredible peer support specialist. And again, this, you know, everyone's laying it out there. Okay, he's going to talk about bullying. And some of you may have been bullied. Some of you may be going through something yourself, and you're acting out in a way that may, you know, resemble bullying. We want to speak to all of you. And to, again, we're talking about things that are uncomfortable, that people don't want to talk about, and we're doing it in a real way. Okay, we're bringing faces like, oh, okay, that I can relate to that guy. You know, I'm going through this. It doesn't have to be like this forever. Okay. So Jason Blackburn, he's a resident of Gretna, Louisiana, for those in the New Orleans area. Big shout out. He began his career in peer support in 2015, working with an assertive community treatment. It's ACT-team, they call it. Jason began facilitating trainings for RI International and the state of Louisiana in 2016. He's trained hundreds of peer support specialists. He has lived experience himself with and is in long-term recovery from substance abuse, incarceration, peer trauma, bullying, and sexual trauma. So Jason is putting it out there for y'all. And I hope you see the bravery in this. Because when I was in high school, I didn't want to tell anybody what I was going through, you know, and I know times have changed. I feel ancient, you know, but thank God we can talk about these things because you can get back on track. You can graduate from high school. You can go to the college you want to go or do the trade you want to do and get back to that good place. So let's hear from Jason. Thanks for sharing, Jason.
Hello, my name is Jason Blackburn, and I'm a peer support specialist. I'm also a survivor of bullying. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my story today. When I was very young, starting about the 2nd grade, I began to experience bullying. 2nd grade, parts of 3rd grade, the bullying manifested itself. It was very verbal, people talking down to me. I had gained a bunch of weight, and so the way people treated me became very not nice. I was made fun of because of this weight gain. As time progressed on and I moved into the 4th grade, the bullying changed. It became physical. I had a bully who not only would he verbally attack me, but he would also physically restrain me during recess. As time went on and I moved into high school, the bullying changed again. It was more indirect. How people reacted when they were around me. There wasn't really any verbal component, even though it did happen from time to time. And just the way people reacted when they were around me or near me, it made me feel very isolated, very alone, not like I had many friends. I didn't feel like I was accepted while I was in high school. And as this progressed, once I got out of high school and I moved into my college years, the effects that this bullying had on me, the lack of self-esteem, lack of self-worth, not really appreciating myself for who I was and what I was capable of being able to do. I began to seek out other ways in which to try to fit in and be accepted. And what that looked like for me was I began to move into the realm of substance use, drinking, drug use, in an effort to not only feel comfortable in my own skin, but to be accepted amongst my peers. This led to a number of consequences that I experienced, from DWIs to incarceration. Around 2008, I was able to turn that around finally and say enough was enough. And I became a part of a program in which I was able to find recovery, not only from my substance use, but to begin to heal from the wounds that were caused as a direct result of the bullying. Today, I do have self-worth. I do have self-esteem. I am comfortable in my own skin. And that is possible for anyone. Around 2015, I was able to become a peer support specialist. And that's what allows me to be here today with y'all. I'm able to use this experience to assist others in finding their own path. Bullying manifests in many different ways. If anyone out there isn't experiencing being bullied, some signs that may point to a bullying problem are unexplained injuries, lost or destroyed clothing, books, electronics, or jewelry. Person might say they're having frequent headaches or stomach aches, they're feeling sick or faking illnesses. I know there was a couple of times where I faked being sick because I didn't want to have to go to school and be faced with even more bullying. Changes in eating habits, suddenly skipping meals or binge eating. Kids may come home from school hungry because they didn't eat lunch. Difficulty sleeping or frequent nightmares. Declining grades, loss of interest in schoolwork or not wanting to go to school. I briefly mentioned that. I wasn't the greatest student, but I did okay. However, I know that during those times, especially in high school, when the bullying was most frequent, my grades did drop. So I didn't end up doing as well as I probably could have when I was in high school. Self-destructive behaviors such as running away from home, harming oneself, or talking about suicide. I can remember seeing news articles. We live in an age where cyberbullying is a thing. So the bullying isn't just relegated to being at school. We have all these social media platforms where a person's peers or the people that are around them, either in school, grades above them, grades below them, people they come into contact with on a daily basis, can be in constant contact with a person 24/7 through Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever the case may be. You know, with these social media platforms, my life is more out there for anyone to see, which opens those doors, unfortunately, where the bullies can come in and continue to affect me if that were the case. If you know someone in serious danger, don't ignore the problem. You can get help too. For a person that may be experiencing bullying, I'll share a little bit more about my story. It's okay to ask for help. When I was going through it, I had reached out to my family members and told them what was going on. Like, hey, this is what I'm experiencing while I'm at school. Back then, and this was in the late 80s, I was told things like, "I'll just laugh it off," or, you know, "let it roll off your back," or, you know, "keep your chin up, never let them see you sweat." Those kinds of things. If you're faced with that, it's okay to reach out to some of your maybe school administrators. You can see a guidance counselor, student advisors, your coaches, anybody else. It's okay to reach out and ask for help. Some other signs that you may want to be aware of is signs that a kid might be bullying someone. They're getting into physical or verbal fights. They have friends who bully others. They've become increasingly aggressive. They get sent to the principal's office or have detention a lot. They have unexplained extra money or new belongings. They blame others for their problems. They don't accept responsibilities for their actions. They are hyper competitive and worry about their reputation or popularity. When I got older and I moved into my college years, all of the effects, the lasting effects of this bullying really took a toll on me. I began to drink a lot. I began to use substances in an effort to make up for that lack of self-esteem, that lack of self-worth, and in an effort to fit in or to be wanted, to be accepted. This led me to a very dark road, which included incarceration, alienating my family. But I choose not to live that way anymore. Around 2008, I was able to change that path in my life. And that's how I'm able to be in front of you today as a peer support specialist. A little bit more information, why kids don't ask for help. Statistics show that only 20% of school bullying incidents were reported. Most kids don't tell adults because bullying can make a person feel helpless. They may want to try to handle it on their own to feel in control again. You might fear being seen as weak or a snitch. You may fear backlash from the person that bullied you. A lot of times I kept quiet because I didn't want to face the repercussions of, what may happen to me from the bully as a direct result of saying, hey, this is what happened to me. Bullying can be a very humiliating experience. Person may not want adults to know what is being said about them, whether it is true or false. May also fear that adults will judge them or punish them for being weak. That is a possibility. Kids who are bullied may already feel socially isolated. They may feel like no one cares or could understand. I know that I had those kinds of thoughts. I began to keep to myself a lot more, not going outside and riding my bike or go and play with my other friends in the neighborhood and those kinds of things, because I felt like, well, if this is what's going to happen to me in the outside world, if I stay just to myself, then it can't happen to me. In closing, I would just like to offer out a message to the bullies. This isn't one of those, you need to stop doing this. I do understand that sometimes when a person begins to react that way to another human being, begins to be aggressive, throw insults, things along that line, there may be some things happening at home that could be affecting you. And that's your only way of communicating. It's okay for you to ask for help as well. We live in a day and age where it's okay to ask for help. It may not seem like it, but it is. And the sooner a person asks for help, the better off that they can be. You don't have to go through this alone. There are people that will listen, no matter how dark or how cloudy things may seem. There is hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason, so much. And that's what I've been saying too, no matter how dark, no matter how cloudy things may seem, there is always hope. Ironically, it's starting to thunderstorm over here where I am. And, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. It's not always the picture of, like you might see in a movie, the bully, taking somebody by the collar, slamming them against the lockers, in front of everybody and say, give me your lunch money. It doesn't really play out like that these days. It's a lot more subtle. And, we hear things in the news. Cyberbullying is real. Okay. And cyberbullying, I can think of a handful, and sadly, of stories where it ended in somebody taking their own life. And so we're having these conversations today. We're talking about it. Ultimately, if all this whole campaign we're doing saves one life, it was worth it, y'all. It was worth it. And you can save a life. You can take what you're learning. Now you'll have, maybe these little red flags will go up. Something that you hear today, like, that my friend Jennifer, or, whoever, they might be going through this. Something might be going on. It's it's powerful to have knowledge. Knowledge is power. You're in school, that. And so this type of knowledge is very powerful too. And it's where the rubber meets the road. And we are going to take a question. We're fielding questions live through our Instagram Messenger. This is about calling 911. If I call 911, won't I get arrested? Okay. The answer is no. You're not going to be arrested for calling 911. Okay. The Good Samaritan law protects those who call for help. So that's a really good question. So thank you again, Jason, for sharing. So we're going to continue the conversation with Haley Jones, another great peer support specialist. And this topic is coping with anxiety. I've had anxiety about doing this presentation, about reaching out, knowing that y'all are out there watching in high school, knowing when I was in high school, I'd be like, who is this person talking? Why, how do they know what's going on? So this is coping with anxiety. So I know Haley was a little anxious doing this, but we really appreciate her sharing. She is from Oak Grove, Louisiana. She became a peer support specialist in 2019. She works at Louisiana Transitional Center for Women. It's a prison in Madison Parish. She works with the state targeted response program, which offers 6 months intensive substance abuse treatment for women in prison. She's contracted with the Department of Corrections in conjunction with the medication assisted treatment program in correctional facilities. Her passions include educating and guiding people on multiple paths of recovery programs, harm reduction methods, engaging in healthy activities, and get involved in her community. Here's Haley. Thanks for sharing, Haley.
Hey, my name is Haley Jones. I'm a certified peer support specialist. I'm someone in long-term recovery from addiction. I also am challenged with ADD and anxiety. What is anxiety? It's a feeling of worry, nervousness, unease, typically about an intimate event or something with an uncertain outcome. Basically, to me, it's just something I'm fearful of the unknown, or I have a lot of social anxiety, being around people or crowds, or just I get very overwhelmed. I get kind of a sick feeling in my stomach, and having to deal with that instead of isolating. And I know in school and in college especially, there's periods of times I didn't want to go to class. I had a FOMO, fear of missing out. So I would use substance in college, and that is what led me to addiction, because that's the only way I would get out to cope. I self-medicated for my anxiety. And I believe it's very important, because back then I did not recognize what it was. And you need to know the signs and how to cope with it in a healthy way, so you don't go down a path like that, because it was a very destructive and long road. It was very hard. And there's so many ways, and I think it's great that we can talk about it, and it's okay to talk about it, because like I've said, then I did not know what it was. And it's okay to talk about it, especially with everything going on in the world today between social media and with COVID, and there's so much fear built up in school and peer pressure and stuff. I just want you guys to know that it's okay. It's okay to talk about it. You're not alone. There's probably a lot of peers around you that have it. Pretty much everybody has some anxiety at some point in their lives. Let's see. Let's see. I would like to first talk to y'all about some positive self-talk. Positive statements encourage us and help us cope through distressing times. We can say these encouraging words to ourselves and be our own personal coach. We have all survived some very distressing times, and we can use those experiences to encourage us through current difficulties. Examples of coping thoughts might be, stop and breathe. I can do this. This too will pass. I can be anxious, angry, sad, and still deal with this. I have done this before, and I can do it again. This feels bad. However, it's a normal body reaction. It will pass. I don't need to rush. I can take things slowly. I feel this way because of my past experiences, but I'm safe right now. Keep calm and carry on. Causes of anxiety is high expectations and pressure to succeed. A world that feels scary and threatening. Social media, which we all know social media can cause a lot of anxiety. Signs of anxiety is reoccurring fears and worries about routine parts of everyday life. Between you've got sports, your tests, peer pressure, work. You're in college and you've got work, trying to juggle that between school. Changes in behavior such as irritability. If you can feel yourself, I know I can feel myself when my anxiety starts to get bad. Even my voice starts to go up. I can feel a tightening in my chest. Avoiding activities, school, and social interactions. That's what I was just talking about. Just that I would isolate and not, I would just get so overwhelmed. I would just throw my hands up and not do it at all. It would get to that point. And when it does get to that point, there's things you can do, and that's what we're going to talk about to prevent that before it gets to that level. Dropping grades or school avoidance, trouble sleeping or concentrating, substance use or other risky behaviors, chronic physical complaints such as fatigue, headaches, stomach aches. Coping strategies, become a relaxation expert, learn how to different techniques and recognize your body and symptoms and signs. Get enough sleep, nourishment, and exercise. Connect with others, connect with nature, pay attention to good things. When anxiety or worry feels extreme, it may be a sign of an anxiety disorder. For someone who has an anxiety disorder, getting proper care from a health professional is important. These tips can help too. Of course, but professional treatment is the only way to shake an anxiety disorder. Coping skills. Coping skills are things we can do to make ourselves feel better when we are going through difficult times. Take care of yourself. Eat healthy foods. Sleep well. Understand how you feel. Exercise. For me, I had chronic stress hives, and it was caused from anxiety. I was literally allergic to anxiety. My body would have allergic reaction. I started exercising, and now I'm a competitive powerlifter, and that is my medicine. That's what I do to help my anxiety. And if I don't do that, I eventually will get them again. So riding a bike, yoga, all these different things, just going for a walk are different things you can do. And do things you enjoy. Draw, enjoy nature, laugh, sing, hang out with friends, play a game, watch a movie, paint, listen to music, make a playlist, make a list of things you like, get help. Talk to a friend, talk to a trusted adult, explain, claim it. You know, if you're having anxieties, talk about it, say it. You know, it's better to say it instead of letting it build up and get to a point where you're just isolating. Change your thoughts by using different parts of your brain. Read, write a story or poem, set a goal, learn something new, journal. Keep a positive attitude, make a list of things you like, focus on what you can control. Say positive affirmations. Use a stress ball. Take 10 deep breaths. Helping other people can shift our focus and make us feel better. Perform a random act of kindness. What is positive self-talk? Positive self-talk. I want to talk about positive self-talk because a lot of my anxiety came from my negative thoughts about myself. So positive self-talk is a strategy that we can use to help us get through anxiety-provoking situations. It helps us to break stress up and involves focusing on positive rather than negative statements. There are 3 key stages: preparation, coping, and reviewing. Preparation is we are about to enter a situation or face something that we find daunting. We can help ourselves to prepare with positive statements such as, it's not going to be as bad as we think. We build up in our heads, you know, it's way worse than just like this presentation. This is 20 minutes of presenting a presentation, and I could build it up for way worse than what it is, for an example, and it won't last long, and I can cope, I can do it. What's the worst that can happen? I'm getting better and need to rebuild my confidence. If I do get bad feelings, I know they won't last long and I can cope with them. It's better to go than not to go. Worry doesn't help. I might enjoy it if I can go. Coping. In order to help us cope and stay in the situation, we can use positive statements such as, concentrate on what is going on, not how I feel. Don't go off emotions. This is just anxiety. It is an unpleasant feeling, but I've never been ill. Concentrate on what I have to do. I know I'm going to be okay. I know I'm going to be okay. The feelings always pass. Relax and think positive. One step at a time. Anxious feelings are unpleasant, but not harmful or dangerous. And then review. Comments to help you review our achievement and give yourself praise. I coped with that. I achieved that. I'm getting better. I handled that. It should be easier next time. I can be pleased with the progress I'm making. I did that well. Even when the things don't go according to plan, you should still take time to review the situation and praise yourself for what you have achieved. Each small step is progress, so try to focus on the positive rather than the negatives. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to mess up. You learn from your mistakes. I know I've made a lot of mistakes in life, but it's all right. You're going to make mistakes. As long as you learn from them, you're growing. Let's see. Here are some additional examples of self-talk statements for you to use. Preparation for stress. I've succeeded with these before. What exactly do I have to do? Tomorrow I'll be through it. I won't let negative thoughts creep in. I'll jump in and be all right. Facing a challenge, okay. I'll take it step by step. I won't rush. I can do this. I'm doing it now. I can only do my best. All you can. It's okay to make mistakes. And coping with fear, relax. Just breathe deeply. There's an end to it. Keep my mind on right now, on the task at hand. Be active. Being active will lessen my fear. Self-congratulations. You did it. I did all right. I did well. Next time I won't have to worry so much. The only way to get past your fear is to face it, is to do it. It's the only way. And you get empowerment each time you do that. Almost like a superhero. Affirmations. Every day, in every way, I grow stronger and stronger. I enter this day with a peaceful heart. So I just encourage you to get out of your comfort zone. You're always going to have struggles. And anxiety's going to be there, especially with the way the world is today. And like I said, the only way I've learned to face my fears is to put myself out there and do those uncomfortable things. If it's not uncomfortable, there's no growth. So just stay positive. Laugh at yourself, enjoy life, and be okay with making mistakes, and learn from them. I want to leave y'all with some quotes. Growth requires courage, strength, and the willingness to go beyond fear. Courage is not having the strength to go on. It's going on when you don't have the strength. Theodore Roosevelt. Thank you, and stay positive.
Thank you so much, Haley. That was awesome. Did y'all catch that? She's a competitive power lifter. What? You're hearing the same wellness tips, something new, try it. I don't think you'll ever hear in another presentation so many times that, hey, be uncomfortable, try something new, get out there, volunteer, get out of yourself and talking about things that are uncomfortable. But I promise you from experience, I can tell you will be so much better for it. So a couple questions really quick before we have our last conversation from our Instagram messenger. Sometimes I have trouble breathing when I'm nervous. That's just anxiety, right? Yes, it might be anxiety, but it might not. So if ever you have any physical manifestation, irregularity in your body, call your doctor right away. Another question, what if I think I need medication? Same answer. If you think you need medication or anything for anxiety, call your doctor, talk to your parents, say, look, I just need to get in to see my doctor. So we are going to continue the conversation. Last but not least, Tanja Miles, if you were with us yesterday, intro, she needs very little intro. She's in books. She's been in documentaries. She's been on talk shows. She's, a wife. She's a veteran, passionate advocate of humane, ethical treatment of individuals, which she fights for those with mental illness, substance abuse, sexual trauma, domestic abuse, and those formerly incarcerated. She has moved thousands of people to sobriety and a healthy, sustainable lifestyle. So here is Tanja, my friend. Take it away.
Hey, what's up? My name is Tanja Miles. I'm a peer support specialist. I just want to thank LePac so much for doing this. Wow, what a series this has been. I mean, I'm just super excited about this. I'm so glad to just sit here and just kind of, have a conversation with you on time management. And that's the topic that I try to live by every day, just really taking advantage of time. And look, I know you guys have been through so much with COVID, and a lot of you guys have not been able to experience maybe if you're in college, the college life, or your first semester of being a freshman in high school, or your last, year being a senior in high school. I know you guys are coming from different spaces, but your schedules are kind of the same thing when it comes to time and going back to school. I mean, look, you had a big hit had that long break of, during COVID, then you went back, and then all of a sudden we had a hurricane, and then you had to go back home, and it's been a lot. So I'm just grateful that LePac is doing this, and it's really making an impact for real, for real. So let's talk about time management when we talk about going back to school. So I know each of you guys have a class load, and some of yours are more structured than others, and some are not. And my mom always told me this, and I know this is not going to be one of them conversations. What my mama said, what my aunt said, but yeah, my mama did tell me, you can't get time back. And that's true. I know being young, we think, oh my goodness, I have all the time in the world. And you kind of don't, but it's okay. We're going to talk about that. And so time management is key. One of the things about not just really being conscious of your time is that it can make you more stressful. What do I mean by that? So just say if you got something at 8:00 and you're not, really thinking about, okay, I need time to get ready, do hygiene and stuff like that, whatever. And then you wake up at 10 till 8 and it's a 20-minute walk or 15-minute car ride. And you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be late. And when you're late, you get up and you're stressing and you're trying to get dressed and do all this stuff like that. And then that just brings on anxiety. Because remember, we're talking about anxiety and depression and things like that and how you can cope or avoid it. So time management is one of those things that we really, for the most part, we can control. And so we have to be cautious of that. We have to think about, okay, I have to give myself time. I have to give myself time to get ready. I have to give myself time to get there. And look, some spaces you live in, it might be traffic and things like that. So you kind of want to give yourself, time not to rush, because that, again, bring on a whole lot of depression, anxiety, worry, and then you're mad and all this stuff like that. So we're trying to help you reduce that. Now, like I said, most of you guys have a set schedule. You know where you have to be on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and Tuesdays and Thursdays and stuff like that. But you still have to be mindful of your time. And here's the deal. You're going to have to cut yourself some slack because, again, there was a big break during COVID where, it was different. You weren't in class and all that and stuff like that. And so you probably maybe got a little, lax, which we all did, and maybe not more conscious of time. But now that you're back on a set schedule, we really have to do time management. Look, it's going to help you not only with your classes, it's not only going to help you with depression and anxiety, but guess what? It'll help you in the long run. So here's the deal. Just say you got a job and they say you need to be there at 10:00. Well, try to get there at 9:55, because believe it or not, people see that. You could be the best worker and all of that stuff, but then if you're constantly not showing up on time, you're clocking in early, or you have to be to class and you're lagging in 15 minutes late and stuff like that. Most schools, they're like, oh, we don't do tardiness. If you come in 20 minutes late, then you can't come in, and then you're all stressed out, then you're mad, and then you're worried and things like that. So you really have to be cautious of time. And look, sometimes it takes time to be time conscious. Yes, it does. I mean, you have to get into a routine. I know a lot of us don't like that word routine, but routines are pretty cool, and it'll help you manage your time. So one of the things that you can do, just say if you know that you got a busy day on Tuesday, well, maybe try to prepare yourself on Monday. I know I got to be at class at 9 a.m. or I got a test that's due at 11. So let me just give myself time to study. Let me give myself time to prepare. Let me give myself time to just even get there. For me personally, I don't like to be rushed. I really, really don't. My dad always told me, haste, make waste. I did not know what that meant. I'm like, oh, here we go again with one of these sayings. But it's true, haste, make waste, because it'll get you all in your feelings and all, railed up and turned up and things like that. And so then you waste a lot of energy, with the anxiety and being mad at yourself and stuff like that. So if you can, try to, just to prepare yourself. It really, really helps. For me, I'll be all in my feelings because I do not like to be late. My dad was like a stickler. You cannot be late. You cannot be late. That's people see that, not only in your personal life, but in your professional life as well. Your teachers are going to see that, and, your peers and stuff like that. So here's what I do. I always give myself, I have this 15-minute rule. So if I can, I try to be at my destination 15 minutes prior. Yes, 15 whole minutes. Because again, that gives me a chance to maybe just kind of sit, listen to my music, just kind of chill out. And I know I don't have to rush, to go into that space, or I don't have to rush to get there because I've given myself 15 minutes to just get there to make sure I got everything I need. I'm locked and loaded and I'm ready to go. That really helps. Now, did I get it the first couple of times? No, it took me a hot minute to do that. But now 15 minutes, I'm there. But let me tell you how that helped me. So I do a lot of, speaking across the country. And so I never forget this really famous author. Her name is Joyce Myers. And so I was asked to speak at one of her conferences. I mean, like 50,000 people. And one of the things that they said that Miss Joyce is a stickler for time. So I think I had like 20 minutes to speak. So I did it in 15 because I wanted to be invited back. And someone was told me, when you're doing stuff like that, if you're not on time, people kind of look at you some kind of way, and they take that in consideration when they're asking you to do stuff. And so I wanted to be invited back, which I was. So she gave me 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I did it in 15. There's so many different things that if you practice those good time management skills now, it'll help you out in the long run. Just say if you have a test. I know some of you have pop-up quiz and makeup tests and stuff like that. But, try to set yourself up to succeed when it comes to your time management. So, look, I know you guys are still getting back into the groove and trying to get back into a routine. But just be mindful, to give yourself some time because you never know what happens. If COVID and hurricanes and everything that's going on in our country community has not taught us anything, it's taught us that, we do have to go with the flow. But sometimes if we can manage our time, we need to do that. Stuff is going to happen. But if you can manage your time, then do it. If you know you got a paper due on, say, Friday, give yourself some time to, study, get that paper done, get it turned in, because things happen. And you don't want to be, hustling, bustling at the last minute. And then that brings on anxiety and that brings on stress. So again, here at LePac, what we're trying to do is we're trying to give you coping skills on how to cope, how you can get through this, semester that you're going to get through and you're going to make it. But you have to be cautious of your time. So prepare the next day if you can. Get it in 15 minutes early if you can. If you have to be somewhere, it's okay to get there early. Like I said, put your earpods in, read a good book, whatever your jam is, and just sit there and do it. Then walk in and you're cool and you're ready you're ready to make it happen. So it is really important. Another thing, look, one thing that we can't get back is time. We can get a lot of stuff back, but we can't get back time. I heard someone said this. They said, what if somebody gave you $84,000 and you had to spend it in a 24-hour period? And I'm thinking, I could do that easy, for real. Not $84,000 a day. $84,000 a day. Every day they gave you $84,000. It can't roll over to the next day. You can't put it in savings. You have to spend it that day. I know a lot of you saying, I could probably do that. And yeah, you probably could, but here's the thing. Just think about it. We all have a limited amount of time. There's only 24 hours in a day. I think that's like maybe 8,000 seconds or something. You know what? We can't get that time back. Once Monday is gone, it's Tuesday. And, we can't get that time back. And so I thought about it when she said, that time don't roll over. You got to spend it. And that's basically how it is day to day. Some things, you just can't get back. And time is one of them. You can redeem the time. Sometimes you can make up for lost time. But for the most part, time and chance happens to all of us. And so I really want to encourage you to just be mindful of your time. Be mindful on how you spend it. It's okay to prepare. I know a lot of times people are like, you don't need to prepare, just wing it, just do it. And sometimes you have to do that. I get that. Life happens. But if you can, try to just really manage your time well. That looks like, preparing, or just look. Everybody's looking at their phone. When you pick that phone up, also look at like a schedule. Well, let me see what I got going on this day. Okay, I know I have to do this, this, and this. Okay, well, today is whatever. Oh, well, look, Thursday's coming. I know I have this, and this to do. And just what you do is if you're not too sure how to manage your time, what I do is I'll talk to Suri or I'll just put it in my phone. Okay, you got to do this. Okay, you got to do this, and give yourself, an alarm and set it. And then your watch or your phone will go off and you go, okay, that can help you, manage your time. besides preparing, a day before or sometime a week before, because I do that a lot. Just, lock it in your phone, tell your phone to remind you. So there are many ways that you can manage your time. Because look, we want you to have the best experience while you're in school. We want you to enjoy all the curricular activities that we can. Now, everything is kind of opening back up slowly. We want you to be cautious, but we also want you to manage your time well, because that will help you relieve some of the stress, relieve some of the anxiety. And look, everybody's kind of been all over the place because of COVID and because of the hurricane and the bad weather and stuff like that. So we want you to give yourself some slack, give yourself some grace, give yourself some space, but manage your time. We talked about routine, get into a routine. Just, every day, if you can, just wake up and give yourself some time just to be present. You hear a lot about mindfulness and things of that nature, or taking your time. And I know the last time I talked to you guys, I was talking about breathing techniques and stuff like that. But, that's how you, manage your time. You manage your time about thinking, okay, I got to look at my calendar. Let me see what I have to do this day. All right, write it down. A lot of times people don't write stuff down. They go, oh my God, I forgot. And you will forget sometimes. So what I do, I'll just, anytime I have something that's important or something I need to put on my schedule, I'll always do it then, because 20 minutes later I might forget. Yeah, I probably will. So I have to be mindful that I lock it in right then and there. And then constantly, maybe 3 times a day, just look at my schedule just to make sure I'm on schedule. And that helps me, when it comes to not being stressful, not being, my dad said, haste make waste, not being hasty about my time. So you guys are going to do it. Like I said, a lot of things have happened and things have been kind of all over the place. But now, since we're kind of getting back into whatever normal looks like, just be mindful of your time. Cut yourself some slack. Prepare if you can the day before. If you can show up, 10 minutes late. I'm sorry, 10 minutes early, not 10 minutes late. Do that. There are so many different tricks and trades that you can do, but you got to do what's best for you. You got to do what works for you when it comes to time management. Because again, those teachers don't play, those professors don't play. If they say that paper got to be in, at Tuesday at 12 noon, it can't be Tuesday at 1 or 12:20. They said 12 o'clock, then 12 o'clock it needs to be. So you can do it. I mean, it's going to take practice. It's going to take time. We're talking about time, but it's going to take all those things. So if you can, again, prepare yourself a day before or the week before. Do the 15-minute rule if you can, but just be mindful that time and chance happens to all of us. Once it's gone, that's a wrap. I know you think, oh, I got so many birthdays that I get to experience. Time is on my side. And in a sense it is, but tomorrow's not promised to any of us. Things happen. And so what you can manage, do it well. And if you can manage your time now while you're in school, then guess what? When you get out there and, you get into your career, into your trade or whatever it is that you want to do in life, those skills that you are practicing right now will prepare you for your future. And I'm telling you, look, I know a lot of you guys probably want to be entrepreneurs and, run your own business. And if you have employees, when you say, hey, look, I need you to be here at this time, you're going to want them there on that time. Why? Because time is money, time is precious, and there's a job to do. There's a mission to do. And so you'll see like, man, I need you to be on time. I don't need you clocking in at, 7:30 when you're supposed to be at 7 o'clock, because that throws everything off. And then everybody's feeling some kind of way. So those are things that you can do now that will prepare you for the future. But I'm telling you, the more that you can manage your time, it's going to relieve stress. It's going to relieve anxiety. And it's just going to help you be the best version of yourself. I'm telling you, you can do it. Like right now, I'm looking at my watch because I have so many minutes that I can talk to you guys, even though I can talk all day. But guess what? I have a time restraint. And so I have to be mindful of that, because just like your time is valuable, my time is valuable. And you always want to respect people's time. You always want to do that. And people will be so grateful that you did. I'm so excited that you guys have tuned in and you've been a part of this. And I hope, some of the things that I shared will help you be the best version of yourself, will help you go be great, will make good grades, and just enjoy this beautiful journey that you're on. I really appreciate you guys listening. And I hope something that I said will really help you along the way. All right, later. Peace.
Thank you, Tanja, so much. And thank you, everybody, for your time today, whether you're watching us live or the recording. Thank you so much for your time, for watching, to having this conversation, starting this conversation. We hope that something was said, that you heard something that touched you, that inspired you, whether you're going through something or you know a friend or see somebody going through something, that you can be that hope for yourself, be that hope for somebody else. So just to repeat a few things, thank you for participating. Those of you who sent questions in. Our website with all the resources is lapac.org, LAPAAC.org, lapac.org. Resources that we mentioned, anything as far as reaching out, getting help is on there. Also, if you want to send a question for one of our presenters, our email, Louisiana, all spelled out, LouisianaPAAC@gmail.com. There is that place of hope. There's never a point past the point of no return. Okay. We want you to be encouraged. A big thank you for the LAPAC campaign team, woohoo, for making this possible. We appreciate you. And thank you, Office of Behavioral Health. This event was funded by a grant from SAMHSA, so we appreciate that. And you learned about peer support specialists. It's a career path. So go to our website, find out more. Thank you for your time and be well, and for listening. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.